the basic flow of the bidding. What does it look like inside my mind, the mind map that I create and the structure inside my head, inside the bidding flow? I call it the base line, next line, baseline, next line, and it's all going to make sense in a moment. Now, before I unwrap that for you, remember this. When the bidding commences, a common mistake that auctioneers make is to think that and act out that it's you versus the bidder and the bidders versus you. You're the facilitator of the bidding. It's not you versus them, it's them versus them, the bidder versus the bidder. And it's your job to amplify that and constantly remind the bidders that the bidders are bidding against the bidders and you're just the facilitator of those bids. And by constantly reminding the bidders that they're bidding against each other, their competition is going to be more prominent and more obvious, and it will increase the chances of them making their next move and their next play to defeat that other competitor. But it's your job to premeditate the bid that you're looking for, to plant seeds in the buyer's mind in relation to their next bid. You can be passive and assume that they know where to place the next bid and at what level. Or you could make suggestions or instructions on exactly what dollar amount that next bidding increment is. You could be the driver or you can be the passenger, constantly broken down to smaller increments, constantly been faced with big, large knockout bids that have defeated the competitors and therefore haven't allowed the auction to slowly escalate to its peak. Or you can be the driver and make premeditated suggestions so that bidders can increase the chances of hypnotically and consistently bidding against each other and climbing up those ladders. Let's take a look at the basic bidding flow on page 2. And I call this diagram base, line, next, line. Base, line, next, line. What on earth am I talking about? I'm talking about this. The base is the $1 million. That's the number that the current bid is at. The bid is at $1 million. That's the base. With the family standing directly next to the camera that's right in front of me in the recording studio. That's the line, the filler line, the gap in play where you can do some describing of where the bid is at and some social commentary to entertain your audience and buy some time. The next is the bid you're looking for. We're calling for a rise of $25,000 to take the bidding to $1,025,000. And then the other line, the bid is still with the family next to the camera with the exclusive rights to negotiate if we don't see a better bidder offer at $1 million. That's that line here. The bid is still with the family next to the camera there in front with the exclusive rights to negotiate. That's the line. Still at $1 million. That's the base again. Calling for a rise, ladies and gentlemen, can we tempt anybody in so that you can be in front and show your competition you mean business? That's the incline line. We're searching for $1,025,000. That's the next. Base, line, next, line, base, line, next. Let's work our way to page 3, driving the call. There's 4 different quadrants that you can live in when it comes to base, line, next. Let me break this down for you because I really want to poke the bruise of what you should avoid. And I want us all operating in the top right quadrant. It's all going to make sense. Hang in there. You could be a passenger, or you could be the opposite of the passenger, and you could be the driver auctioneer. You can be the boring auctioneer, or you can be the entertaining auctioneer. What on earth do I mean by that? You could be operating in the bottom left-hand quadrant, and I suggest that you don't. The boring auctioneer who is a passenger constantly calling the base. At $1 million. We're at $1 million. We're at $1 million. The bid's at $1 million. We're at $1 million. We're at $1 million. Horrible. Boring passenger constantly calling the base. You could be boring, but you could be a driver. How good is that? It's better than being a boring passenger. You're a boring driver because not only are you calling the base, you're also calling the next bid that you're looking for. We're at $1 million. Give me $1 million and 25. We're at $1 million. Searching for $1 million and 25. We're at $1 million. At $1 million and 25, the next bid. At $1 million. At $1 million and 25, I welcome you in. You're a driver. You're planting the seed for the next bid, but you're still boring because there's no filler lines. It's just numbers. You can be a passenger, but also entertaining. You could call the base and the line, but no next. So you don't call for the next bid you're looking for, but you're constantly calling the base with filler lines. The bid is at $1 million to the family right down the barrel of the camera to the left. The family of 4 who've inspected the home on several occasions. You've come along today, you've registered with clear intentions to bid and to buy, and at $1 million, you're in front, good bid. Still with you and in your hands. And if we don't see a better bidder offer, you're in front with the exclusive rights to negotiate at $1 million. Some commentary and lines, but constantly the base. In Auctioneer Masterclass, where we want to be operating is in the top right quadrant, driver and entertaining. The base, the line, the next, and the line. The bid is at $1 million to the family of 4, dead center, who've inspected the home on several occasions in front, calling for an increase of $25,000. Can I tempt you in over here to jump in, step up, flex your auction muscles, show your competitors you mean business at $1 million and 25? No? Well, I'll come back to you. The bid's still over here, right down the middle of the auction to the family who placed the first bid and in front at $1 million. Base line, next line, base line, next line. Entertaining with the lines and commentary, and the driver striving for the next bid. In that example I gave you, all the words between the numbers is the line. You can do a few words, a sentence, a few sentences, get creative, go short, extend it. Base, line, and next. Driver and entertaining. That's what we are in Auctioneer Masterclass. Now you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, Brent, what happens to the baseline and next once we actually receive the next $1,025,000 bid? Let's work our way to page 4. This lets you inside my mind to the roadmap that I have in my head when facilitating an auction. Base, line, next. Base, line, and next. The base, the bid is down the middle at $1 million with this lovely family of 4. Calling for an increase. Can I welcome anybody in? Here's your chance. That's the line. Calling for a next bid of $1 million and 25. That's the next. We still don't receive a bid. The bid is back there, front and center, under the porch to the family of 4. There's the line. Under the front porch at $1 million. There's the base. Calling for a rise, buyers, can we tempt you in? There's the incline line. Calling for a next bid of $1 million and 25. There's the next. Oh, we've received the bid from bidder number 7 at $1 million and 25. All of a sudden, this base is no longer the base. The $1 million and 25 next is no longer the next. The $1 million and 25 is now the new base. At $1 million and $25,000, we welcome bidder number 7 in. Good luck with the auction. There's the new base. Calling for an increase to the family through the middle. You're in second place now. I welcome you back. There's the line. Calling for a rise of 25 to take us to $1 million and 50. The $1 million and 50 being the new next. At $1 million and 50, the natural next step, bid is still over here now at $1 million and 25 to my left. There's the decline line. and we're at $1,025,000. We're still at that base. Calling for rise. Can we tempt you in, buyers? There's the line. At $1,050,000 to jump in front. Yes, we've got it. The bidder right out the back next to the no standing sign. We've got a new base. And all of a sudden that base disappears. And then we're calling for this next at $1,075,000 and a new line back to the base. Next, we receive the $1,075,000. That base goes, that next goes. We've got a new base of $1,075,000, a line. We're calling for 1.1 million. That's our next. Back to the base of $1,075,000, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. Of course, there's variables at play. There's different bidding increments we're going to be looking for based upon different variables. How many bidders there are, how strong is the market, where's the vendor's reserve price. But as a general rule of thumb, here's what goes on inside my mind during the bidding flow. Inside the bidding flow, we're methodically and consciously putting the spotlight on the bidders and taking the attention away from you as the auctioneer. It will bring the audience and the buyers into the present moment of exactly what you're looking at and describing. It will captivate your audience and increase the likelihood of the competition being very obvious and receiving your premeditated next bid, the bidding flow.